I was just gonna say, I'm so glad it's Beef doing it and like not anyone else, because he's like actually entertaining. And like that's the big thing.
About?
I tell you, I feel like a lot of Mario writers are kind of like just kind of a little
just add Liam and move on. The other ones are entertaining. Even though nobody asked, we delivered. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is Nestani.
I am Jaxler.
I'm DECosmic.
I am Coley.
And today we have a very special guest on the podcast, legendary speedrunner Titanfall 2 extraordinaire. I think they ran Ghost Runner as well. I really just basically blew through the SRC page. We have GDQ's very own Brian Auto Parts on the show. Welcome to the show.
What an intro. Yeah, thank you. Great to be here. Honestly, if I'm being real, oh, okay. Thanks. It's still going. Yeah. It's still going. I appreciate that. I've been I see ETNA clips all the time. Do you call it ETNA? Is that kosher?
Yeah,
we call it
ETNA.
Okay.
ETNA. The worst podcast of all time. Anyone
honestly, I think it's a pretty good podcast name. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I see the clips all the time on my Blue Sky feed, and I'm like, damn, that seems like a cool show. It'd be cool to be on there sometime, and now here we are. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And today, you all guessed it, we're going to be talking about the giant elephant in the room, the giant elephant that dropped on a Thursday. Why did you all have to drop it on a Thursday? Like, can't you all drop it on a Tuesday? Be aligned with our schedules a little bit better. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's wrong with dropping it on a Thursday?
Because we record on Tuesdays, and I can't turn around a podcast in one day. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
But the games list dropped, and
when we're discussing dates,
those three are going to talk, and me and Cole are going to watch. It's going to be lit. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
When we're discussing dates for the SGDQ list, by the way, I'll make sure to drop that. Was like, can we drop it on a Tuesday for the ETNA guys at least, something like that?
It's true.
So,
this is good. This is good.
There we go.
Or Monday, even better, because then we could prep for it.
Even better.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, I guess before we even start talking about the games list, Brian, do you mind introducing yourself and talking a little bit about what you do with GDQ?
Sure. Yeah. So as was mentioned, I'm Bryonato. I've been speedrunning for the last, I want to say 8 years. I think 8.5 at this point. I think that's quick math. Basically, since January 2017 was when I first picked up Titanfall. My first GDQ event, I did commentary for the Titanfall 2 S17 run. First ran at GDQX, had another Titanfall run at S19. I ran Wolfenstein co-op and Control at A20. I also volunteered at that event, and then there was a games committee opening, which I applied to. I got accepted in February of 2020. I did not attend my first on-site event as staff for the next 2 years, which was wild. Yeah, something happened. But I work on the GDQ Games Committee is my primary job. It's kind of interesting now. I celebrated my 5-year anniversary at the company pretty recently, and I'm currently the fourth most tenured Games Committee member at this point, which is really weird.
Wow.
I think the whole not being in person for the first 2 years after signing on still has me feeling like the new person. I just always I don't know. I just so I work on the Games Committee. I help for people that don't know what the Games Committee does. We are in charge of the content on the screen, basically. So we pick the games list, we put the schedule together. It is a pretty long and arduous process, but it's also my favorite thing in the world. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I think everything we do is super interesting. So when I got asked to come on ETNA and talk about it, I was like, fuck yeah. I can swear on this show, right? I'm assuming.
No, yeah, fucking
yeah.
Okay, cool. So, So at GDQ, I do the games committee stuff. I do a bit of our content moderation. You'll sometimes see me at our side events like PAXs or GDQX at TwitchCon or something like that. It keeps me busy. That's for sure. So yeah.
And there's when Bryo says this is a long and arduous process, they're not joking in the slightest. I think you get around at least 10 to 15,000 submissions on average or something.
Not 15,000, not quite 15K.
Okay. So 10K
15 would be diabolical, I will say.
Okay. So for SGDQ, we had around 2,500 individual submissions. So
okay.
Which we need to boil down into around like 110-ish hours of content, which is very difficult to do.
If I was
as it
good at
turns out.
math, I could give you percentage, but I just barely got a 51 on my algebra, so can't give you a
There's a
percentage.
stat floating around in another server I'm in where it's like it is more difficult to get into a GDQ than it is to get into Harvard. If you just look at it from the numbers, which
Probably,
you
yeah.
know, I don't envy like your position as like having to be someone who is like, okay, you get to go, you get, cause
You say that, but then you also like tweeted out on Blue Sky like a while ago that you're applying for games committee.
Yeah, because because I hate myself.
You want it. You are trying to sign up for it. I don't know what you're...
Oh my god.
You know what, Sarah? But also go fuck yourself. But anyway, this has kind of become a biannual tradition of ours where we go over the games list and talk about games that we're excited about and all of that jazz. And 3 of us in the call are actually going to have runner badges in one way, shape, or form. So, yeah, first of all, Brian
no one
doing
can guess who
Titanfall
the
2.
2 that don't have it are. No one can guess.
Well, I'm like halfway in, halfway out, but we'll see. But yeah, Brian, you're doing Titanfall 2 all helmets.
Yes, I'm doing a race with one of my close friends, Sapphire and Pink, which I'm really excited about. Sapphire is just like one of my favorite people, so being able to go up on the stage with them is going to be pretty awesome. All helmets is also like my pet category. It was me and my friend S Deception that originally routed this back in like 2018 or something like that. So I have a lot of history with it. And I'm definitely I'm really excited about it. If people remember, like I retired from running Titanfall 2 like a couple years ago, which was like really honest at the time. I think people like to clown on people that like retire from speedrunning, but for me, I just needed like the closure at the time. I needed some way to like separate myself from it. And then I realized earlier this year, I was like, I could like play the game and not worry about like being the best or having a world record or whatever. I can just kind of like play all helmets and do whatever the fuck I want, because that category is pretty, you have a lot of creative liberties. It's less optimized. So there's a lot of stuff that I was just like, I want to do shit that's like cool and is fun.
Yeah,
and
it gives you more
been
like
my approach to
flexibility
it.
to freestyle, especially in a game like Titanfall where the movement is that.
Yes. Yeah.
That could.
Can I ask why you decided to retire, or what does that mean, or like what's the backstory?
Yeah, I
on
was
that?
gonna ask that too.
Not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I don't know. I definitely know this happened.
No, I'm happy to talk about it. So I ran Titanfall 2 for, like, I started running it in January of 2017, which was only a few months after the game came out. I held the world record for about like 5 years straight, and that was like a lot of
Jesus. Okay.
That was like a lot of grinding. That was a lot of grinding in that time. I had like over, I think when I like retired, I had over like 4,300 hours or something like that. So it's a lot of time in the game. And also from like a content perspective, like, I just wasn't really sure what my relationship with it was anymore, like as far as streaming goes and shit like that. And we had just had the SGDQ 2023 run that Bladen did, which was like probably for me, that was like the run of the show for that event. And obviously going to be biased, but it was such a blast. And I was solo couch for that run. I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I just kind of felt like my time was up with that game. And there were a lot of new runners that were coming up at the time that were just like super good and like way better than me. And I just didn't really want to grind for world record anymore. I was just kind of like, I felt like I'd kind of like I'd made my mark and like I'm done. And whenever I'd be like streaming, there'd be people that would come in that would be like, hey, when's Titanfall again or something like that. It wouldn't matter like what I was playing, right? So right. So I was like, I need like not only for me, but also like, for something to point to for other people. Like I just need to be like, hey, I'm done with this. Like we had a lot of fun, but like it's over. So yeah, this all helmets race thing is very much, I think for me, I'm kind of looking at it as like a swan song, like last hurrah kind of thing, I think. So yeah.
I think part of it too is it becomes really easy to feel like boxed in by like kind of the game that you really set.
Big time.
I've had that a bit with Pumpkin Jack to a degree where
Right.
Jaxler! Oh my god!
Pumpkin Jaxler!
Oh my god, I love Pumpkin Jaxler!
Where part of it is just like, you don't want to feel like boxed in and that's like the only thing people know you for or care about you for. But I also feel like on the speedrunning side, like I've talked about this on the podcast before, where I feel like if you only really focus on one game, that you're really holding back on your own potential as a speedrunner. Like, there have been so many times, like back when I ran SpongeBob the Square. Exactly.
It's called the Dog Island. Okay, I don't know.
That's
if
not a real video game, bro. That's not real.
It's not. It doesn't count. It doesn't
I
count.
like that
You
game.
said
That's not a
speed
real
game, I get
game.
it, but video game, that is like cinema.
It's not
that
a
is
real
like
video game
Oscar worthy. It is a real video game.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always found myself like taking a break from whatever my main game was and then coming back, and it's like all of a sudden I'm just like doing way better at the game than I was before. And it's like, you know, funny how that works. That's why I always like laugh at like the Mario 64 like mains.
Green Suigi has done. Who's the
Here we
Green
go.
Suigi of Titanfall 2? Sorry to completely obliterate your story, but who's the Green Suigi of Titanfall 2? I just need to know.
I mean, Clipboard Guy is trying to be the Green Suigi of Titanfall 2 right now.
Clipboard's
Clipboard
close.
Guy is he currently has the any percent world record, and he has, I believe, what is it, 11 of 14 individual level world
Damn.
records.
Okay.
So
Oh,
he's
shit.
it's been pretty awesome actually. There's a lot of really great storylines. Like, it's going to be a banger YouTube video someday right now,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool to be like living through it's going to be it's pretty cool to be living through this era of Titanfall. You have like Bladen, Dadadu, and Clipboard Guy, who are just but as far as like pure skill goes, the three greatest players to ever touch the game. And they all play the game differently. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. It's been really, really cool just to watch them like battle back and forth in various things. Like, Dadadu has the all helmets record. Bladen has, I don't even know if Bladen still has a world record. He had the Beacon 2 record. Anyway, sorry, I'm about to go on a fucking
No, you're
Titanfall
good.
tangent. Yeah, anyway.
You're good.
So Clipboard Guy is trying to be the Green Suigi of Titanfall for sure. Yeah.
And he has done it
Clipboard
again.
Guy has done it again.
Clipboard guy has done it again. We're so
He's
bad.
literally grinding for the Blood and Rust world record like as we speak right now. I have a stream open in another tab. So yeah.
I so feel that, especially when like with this podcast, like I'll just have like some other person's stream up while I'm like trying to pontificate over speed. It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
fun.
and then like Cosmic will be talking about something, and then Jax will just be like zoned in on his monitor. He'll say something to Jax. Jax will donawall him, and then we'll be like, okay, what are
That's
we
how
doing?
it goes. It's good vibes.
I usually just have a Wikipedia page open because I don't have a ring light. So, you know, I got to get the light somehow.
That's actually so real. No, that's actually so real. I
I've
used
done that
to.
before, not with Wikipedia though. But yeah, that's crazy.
I usually
have a
just did
white
an-
image on my computer that I throw up.
Yeah, I would just do a notepad and then maximize it. So
Oh, there you
you
go.
go.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's probably
Cosmic, I
better
don't-
on the RAM too.
With the amount of light that reflects off your forehead, I don't know if we need any more like
Wow.
help in the lighting department. Like,
True, honestly.
I feel like half the shorts on our thing is about Jax telling Cosmic he has a bowling ball head in some fashion.
Probably, yeah.
It's
man,
nice
it's
and-
funny.
it's
What do you
nice
want?
and
You want
polished,
getting
you
up
know?
there,
Like, I don't know
so
It's just it's easy
I'm
money,
just-
dude.
I'm just speaking observations out loud. Easy money.
facts.
It's
Yeah,
easy
the
money,
other
dude. I mean,
other half of the
I have
clips is
same
somebody
thing. I got
interrupting
this
me.
massive ass forehead, but at least my bangs cover like a tenth of it. you
All
know?
right,
It's
bro.
like-
Talk to me in like 9 years when you're at where I am right now, and we'll see how
I
much
won't
the
have any
bangs
hair in 9
cover.
years, probably.
I'll be lucky if I'm alive in 9 years. I'm a diabetic, bro.
Ouch.
God is trying to kill me every day I wake up. Like the odds are not in my favor, man. Like that.
Well, speaking
That's
of the
fair.
odds not
That's
being in
fair.
your favor, the games list has come
go.
out. Bryonato has a run, which we've talked about, but I believe there's one other person that has a run on the real schedule,
On the
unlike
real
the
schedule.
fake
On the real schedule.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. It's me. I'm gonna be racing the bouncer on the PlayStation 2 with Asuka 424 and Dynamite Dan.
Wait, Dan's on
The
that run
bouncer.
too? Hell yeah.
He
Yeah,
is.
Dan's on that run.
We're
Yeah,
so bad.
Yeah, Dan. So we had like somebody else that was gonna submit with us for AGDQ, and then he couldn't make it to SGDQ. And I went, "Hey Dan, do you want to learn a second speed game?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure. What do you got?" And I was like, "The bouncer." And he was like, he had never played it, so he sat down and played it like one day, and then just learned the run. And he was like, "All right, I guess I got my submission videos now."
Man, he has a
So,
lot more dedication than me playing the whole game casually. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Cosmic,
true.
Cosmic, can you explain like what for the audio listeners at home that don't know what they're getting into? What is the bouncer?
So the bouncer is like if Sora ditched the Keyblade and he was like, put up your dukes for an entire half hour. You know, him and the gang was just like, all right, let's go. Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
He really does look just like Sora.
It does, yeah. It's by the same character designer, Tetsuya Nomura. So Tetsuya Nomura designed it. I don't remember who directed this game, but it is like a 2000 beat 'em up from Square Enix when they were known as Squaresoft, and it was like a launch title or close to a launch title for the PS2. True.
No one was doing that.
I don't think anybody's confusing with FromSoft, but you know, it's fine.
True. One studio makes good games and the other one doesn't. So
Right. Because famously, RPGs are bad.
The bouncer.
You could take that either way.
It's true. You could, yeah.
Choose your own insult.
I was going to say, yeah. Choose your own adventure in the comments below. Who is the one of those companies that makes good games? So in the bouncer, I'm going to be so for real. I only remember like half the plot. But there's a woman named Dominique. That's fair. There's a woman named Dominique that you have to save from this guy named Duragon and his army. And so the bouncers for this bar on a place called Dog Street, Scion Barzad, Vault, and Ku, they all have to. They're all gonna like leave the bar. There's only one level that takes place in the bar, and the fastest way to get through that level is to let the enemies defeat you, which is weird. But the rest of that game is like going through this entire like futuristic or near futuristic city fighting Duragon's armies. And it's just like cutscene, fight. But we're going to be skipping all the cutscenes, obviously. So the run is pretty short. And we're just going to beat dudes up. Just going to throw hands the entire time.
Yeah.
And we also fight deadly Roombas as well. There's very deadly Roombas. Nice. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
I think there was a cutscene % run as like the finale for like a Big Bad Game-a-thon, and that was like a 3-hour run.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours. Casually, I think if you like first try everything in that game, even with the cutscenes, it's probably only like 2.5 hours casually. Okay. Yeah, it's a really short game. Once again, you know, like a pretty small project, a launch title for the PS2 or near launch title. It even had like 4-player like what is it, like versus mode as just like an alternate mode and stuff. I don't know, man. I just remember like booting that game up when I had it as a kid and was like, well, I guess we need to break out the multi-tap now, you know? Like it's a strange but also like really cool game. So I'm excited
and I
to show it.
can't help but assume this is a part of the silly block, which we'll talk about a bit later, but very, very stacked silly block this time around. There's some.
We'll see where
no
it
Stuart
lands,
Little though, which is a crying shame. I just want to say.
Oh no, I didn't submit it. I
know
why.
you didn't. I'm just saying you could submit the racist Stuart. Surely they would take it. Like I think it would be good. It would be a good look.
I honestly, there might have been like a lane where I submit maybe next year for SGDQ because I can't submit it for Awful Block because like unfortunately Stuart 3 is not like a bad game. It's like fine. It's like fine.
You don't have to submit it for Awful Block. You could just submit it.
Yeah, I could also just submit it. Like
it's gonna get put in Awful Block. It's just gonna be there. I don't know. You can maybe say that it's not a bad game, but they're gonna put that shit there if they take it.
Yeah, it's true.
But speaking of games not getting taken or getting half taken, I suppose Jaxler won in a surprising upset. The Game 7 Warriors Rocket series doesn't get accepted in GDQ. I'm rubbing it in for no reason. I'm so sorry.
Look, I get a runner badge. I get a runner shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say he gets a runner badge either way.
I just need the shirt, bro. That's all I need, man.
True, dumb.
But yeah, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver got in on backup with all bosses, which is exciting.
All bosses unrestricted.
Unrestricted, yeah. That game is so fucking funny.
It's a dope run.
I really hope it like gets in off of like backup or I don't know if it still works this way, Brian. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but
correct him
there's this
right now before he says anything.
Yeah. But like with the way that so there's a second submission period for like new games and new releases. And if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but if y'all don't end up like taking like all of those slots that you have set aside for new games, you might
we got to fill the time somehow.
Yeah, you got to fill the time somehow. So part of me is kind of hopeful, but that's a selfish hope, obviously. But yeah, Soul Reaver in on backup, but there's also a bunch of other games that I'm a part of communities for that we'll talk about in a bit. So yeah, so we got in, woohoo, yippee, we get runner
All of
badges
us
and
equally,
shit.
all 5 of us. We all got in,
Absolutely.
and we're all
I
going to
got
be there in
into
person.
GDQ.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely.
Totally.
Yeah.
You should be. This is going to be a banger.
It is
It is going to be a banger.
It's going to be a
Yeah.
good event.
But unfortunately, our good friend Nestani is knee deep in school. Which
Yeah,
is-
that's true.
Hey, I finished all 6 of my papers in the past 2 days, so I'm chilling. And they were all due today. They were all due today, and I finished them at like 4 o'clock today, and I actually came home before 6 p.m., which was cool.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
It was a
Nice.
good time.
Nice.
That's
I
pretty
think
sick.
So-
Cole's not coming because he's just stupid. So that's,
Yeah, well, he's lame. Yeah, he's a GDQ
Ouch.
virgin, so he's too afraid to come.
I'm too
In more
afraid
ways
to
than one.
come.
Yep.
So who wants to kick things off, I guess, because we're just going to talk about what we're excited about really on this list.
Yeah.
Because I will be honest, and I said this in Maxi's chat the other day, but I feel like every list that comes out, there's more and more runs on it where I go, dang, that seems really interesting. I really want to check that out, even if it's not a game that I'm like totally familiar with. And part of that, I think, is because I make more friends every year, so I end up being interested in more runs, but also because honestly, you know, hats off. Obviously, there are more people on the games list than you, Bryo, but hats off to y'all because every games list I feel like it's more experimental, more.
I appreciate that.
You know, like more, more varied. It's awesome. So awesome job. Yeah.
I mean, that's if I can talk about this for a sec too. I mean, that's intentional. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you look back at AGDQ, I feel like, especially if you look at a lot of the press that came out around that event, AGDQ felt so much about like, you know, what's the next step forward? Like, what's the next direction that GDQ is going to go in? You know, it felt like everything felt very like new and experimental. Obviously, we had the crazy taxi run. You know, we had stuff like the Super Mario Bros. Piano run that was just like what? And you know what I mean?
Everywhere.
And it was just and of course I really loved what Adef had to say during the finale, right, when he's talking about like send us all your cool and interesting shit, you know what I mean? And so it's I felt like we had a lot of momentum going into SGDQ, and just like an unbelievable submission cycle. This one was like people I've seen stuff like anecdotally people being like, dude, you can make an entire ass marathon out of the backup list, which is like true. It's true. Like the backup list is like amazing. So
it's fucked up, frankly.
So it's a good problem to have, and I'm glad that I feel like the main pieces of feedback that I've seen around the games list is like there's a ton of new runners I haven't seen before. There's a bunch of games I've never seen before, and there are like a lot of things that surprise me, which I'm like good. So I'm really excited about that. You know, actually, when I was watching Maxi's stream, I mentioned this in his chat, but I love creeping on people's games list review streams. Like I'll never say anything in chat while they're actually I'll never say anything in chat when they're actually giving their thoughts. So but yeah, I really loved when Maxi was scrolling through the list and he was like Uncharted 3. He's like, whoa, that's surprising. I guess Uncharted 3 is a really glitchy game, blah blah blah. And I love that he pointed out that he was surprised by it, because I feel like every single time we go through a submission cycle, there's always going to be a few games that when I'm scrolling through the list that when like I watch the video, I'm like, holy shit, like this is really good. And I would say Uncharted 3 for me was the one that really had a lasting impression on me. I had no idea the game was like a movement game, and I had no idea.
Like, when was the last time we've even had an Uncharted game? Like, that's the other
you know what?
thing.
I'll pull up GDQ VODs right now and find out. I feel like
there's some games or series that you don't get good submissions from very often, so it's just kind of like you kind of just have to consider it for that reason. Like,
we had Uncharted 2 at A22, but that was online.
Oh,
and
okay.
then,
Okay.
But
Is
yeah,
3 the one with the really fucked up journal tech? Is that the one, or is that 2?
I think that's 2. 3 has the cover boosting.
Okay, cover boosting. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Because there's like one piece of tech in any of those games that is just like the thing that makes the run crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know. And I couldn't.
I know
remember
that
which one
like
it
Drake's
was.
Fortune has like airwalking. I think that's the super busted thing.
Maybe
in
that's
that
the one that I'm
so-
thinking of then. Is for Drake's Fortune. I'm thinking of
Drake
Uncharted
the
4 is
rapper.
what? Drake's Deception, right?
We don't talk about
Drake
that.
the Rapper is Uncharted 5, yeah.
Truly Uncharted.
Whoa.
Whoa.
True.
Yeah. Uncharted 3 is definitely going to be a hot one. That's going to be good. I think I put that down on my list. Yeah, that's Rolling Gizmo that's doing that.
The Rolling Gizmo. Yep.
The Rolling
Correct.
Gizmo.
Yeah.
I just want to go ahead and shout out Blood Thunder.
Blood Thunder, true, yeah.
Blood Thunder is
Yeah.
here again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
He's never
yeah.
not going to be
Indiana
here,
Jones.
honestly. We're so bad.
Indiana Jones. in a
I
great
love
circle.
when Blood Thunder comes up to me and complains about like his like certain runs of his like not getting accepted or things getting it on backup, and I'm like, dude, it's not my fucking fault that you have like 5 really good submissions every fucking event.
Every single event.
Like that's your own. Like I don't know, man. If you want a specific run to get in, you might have to submit just that because like I swear to God, Amnesia, the bunker has been on backup like I don't even know how many fucking times.
Like
because
4, probably.
Because Blood Thunder is always submitting really good shit. Anyway, sorry, that guy.
Hey,
pisses
yeah,
me
no,
off.
no, it's true, yeah.
I kind of have that problem too.
You know, what if we just make a Blood Thunder block and we just accept all
Yeah, let's
5
just get it all out of the way, you know? Like,
And then you call it Block Thunder, and it writes itself, honestly.
Exactly.
Right,
This is huge.
Cinema.
No one would be
Cinema.
upset about it.
I don't know if I told you this, Bryo, but so BT like had a room already booked for AGDQ 2025, and so I was like, "Hey, do you need a roommate still?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." He was like, "I'll go if I get a run in," and I thought to myself, "Oh, okay, so we're rooming together then." Yeah, you know, because just like, what kind of statement is that, dude? Coming from anybody else, I'd be like, "Okay, fair enough. I'll keep my eye out." But for BT, like, come on, bro, who are you kidding? Like,
oh my God.
bro is just suffering from success. Like,
It really is, you know, that's tough.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for his. He's running the new Indiana Jones game, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
for people that haven't seen it. It's like a first-person, like immersive sim game, basically by the devs that did. Actually, I just realized Machine Games has 2 games on the. We have both Indiana
okay.
Jones and Wolfenstein 2, both by the same
Oh, they
developer.
oh, they both did that. Okay.
So that's pretty cool. Anyway, also, yeah, to talk about Wolfenstein 2. Oh my fucking god, I'm so excited for Wolfenstein 2.
Finally,
This is
I'm
cutscene.
sorry.
Is this
Yeah.
cutscene remover?
Anarchy is a close friend of
Yeah,
mine,
this is-
and of
this is
me and
cutscene
Brian's
skip.
as well. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
nice.
finally, an Anarchy run. Well, 2 Anarchy runs. I'll talk
Dude,
about the other one.
Anarchy fans are eating good this
Yeah.
event. Yeah, Wolfenstein 2, and then I don't know if anybody saw the backyard baseball run.
Backyard baseball.
That was at
97.
that was at Frost Fatales.
Yeah, I saw
but-
that. I saw that.
Oh my god, I like it's yeah. I am extremely excited to say the very least.
I have to mention as well, Anarchy basically tweeting out about the runs that she got in, and like the like image that she posted was like Pablo Sanchez sitting in the seat next to Michael Jordan coming back with the trophy.
She's so fucking funny.
I don't know if we can pop that on the edit, but that was like maybe one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. But
That's
super
pretty great.
deserved. Like Anarchy's like put in so much fucking work, and again, first
Yeah,
time runners. It's like good.
Yeah, and you know, I would say just for no reason whatsoever, I'm glad that we have 2 like very vehemently anti-Nazi games. Not for any particular reason. I just think it's kind of cool to have
Wait,
2 of them in
backyard
the
baseball
marathon.
is anti-Nazi? Oh,
Right.
Indiana Jones. Sorry.
Indiana
sorry,
Jones.
sorry.
So sorry, that was a huge topic switch. Yeah.
Humongous
Right.
Games really just loves making.
Yeah.
How many minutes does cutscene skip remove from New Colossus? Do we know?
Man, I feel like it's
Or-
like half the length or something.
It's
I don't
a pretty significant deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, cutscene skip
it's-
mods are one of the best things ever. Like to come out of like modding speed games.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
done. Yeah, the cutscene skip mods have done a lot for even just for games getting their time in GDQs. You know, I mean, look
Yeah.
at Shenmue, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so.
Shenmue,
I think,
Final
and
Fantasy
also
X.
we have the exactly.
But yeah, I kind of want to just like blanket shout out some of the silly block picks y'all took this year. There's some really fucking funny ones in here. I want to shout out Arctic Eggs. That's a game where
Yes.
you cook things for people.
That was one of my favorite games I played last year. By the way,
It's actually like a really interesting game in terms of like the narrative as well as like kind of the themes that are going on. But it's like you're cooking eggs and like blowfish and like bacon.
and then
for
like a
people.
bullet comes down, and then there's a cigarette, and
Yeah,
then
and you have to cook the
it's-
cigarette, and it's
You
like
have to cook the cig.
the game is fire, and it's
wow.
Teddy Ross, so you know it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
gonna be good.
Also, again, big shout out, big friend of the podcast, friend of the people, PMC Trilogy. has done
PMC
it
Trilogy
again.
has done it again.
With
been
an
waiting for that
airport
one.
for aliens currently run by dogs. Which
Speaking
is
of games that have been on backup like a million times, I'm really glad
Yeah.
that this game is in the event. Yes.
This game is so goofy. I also just, again, big PMC Trilogy fan. You know he's gonna do a really good.
I
job
love
with
yeah,
it.
I love that guy, dude.
He's awesome.
We just
He's
need
also
more-
got he got Exector on backup as well, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
like a
that's right.
PS1
That
mech
game is that was one of my little pet picks. I really like
Oh,
Exector.
yeah?
That's a super
Yeah.
cool run.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
speaking of the silly block too, one of my so one of the ways that Games Committee organizes ourselves is we have a bunch of like subcommittees. So like
Okay.
there's 11 people on the committee, and all 11 of us do not individually watch all 2,500 submissions. We break off into our own groups based on like our knowledge of like of what we're knowledgeable about. So like I'm on the FPS subcommittee. I'm on like the 3D platformer subcommittee. I'm on the racing game subcommittee. You know, we have subcommittees for a bunch of stuff. What a subcommittee I am not on is the silly subcommittee. And I kind of make a point like not to review it too closely, and I just kind of let them cook and do their thing.
Yeah.
And then I get to like experience it all for the first time at the same time as everybody else. So that's one of my favorite like little things to do every submission cycle is keep myself like completely blind to this part of the marathon and then just like watch shit happen. Because this is a really fun mashup of silly games this year.
Oh yeah. I also one more I want to shout out before we move on. Pocket Bike Racer from Conception. That is a Burger King game. For those who do not know. So there's kind of like there's like a unholy matrimony of like 3 different like Burger King games. There's like Sneak King. There's like another one that I can't remember off the top of my head.
yeah.
And then Pocket
these
Bike
games.
Racer. Pocket Bike Racer is actually kind of like a fire racing game, sort of, kind of by accident. And it's really stupid.
I love all
really
the
happy-
asterisks you had to put after the word fire. I just want to point that out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, Silly Block's gonna be fire. To talk about a run that like isn't Silly Block that I'm really surprised. Again, we're talking about surprises. Batman Vengeance. I'm really happy to see that game get in.
It's a cool game.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
Yeah, that-
surprised to see that.
Yeah, so that's done by someone I really like respect in the speedrunning scene, MT Joe D, who's just like a great like host and like personality on the mic. And this is kind of like his pet game that he's always been kind of working on. And it's got some cool tech to it. There's like an invuln glitch. There's like, you know, you're hovering around as Batman with your cape. That's just fun.
It's cool.
And that's anytime I see a game that's like, you know, that early aughts that like someone has not heard of before, I'm like, yes. I'm like, I can live vicariously through that a little bit. So that was one I was really happy to see as well. But Cosmic, did you have any more that you wanted to like?
Let me see here.
We
I
can
think
kind of
that
just like bounce around each other at this point.
I think
like,
the
in
one
any
that
order.
the one that really there was a couple that really popped out to me, but I'll probably just go with this one. Is Order of Ecclesia by Dragon Blitz.
Yeah.
The Castlevania one, because this is like that game was like a very pure sort of run for Castlevania. It was one of, I think, like the few glitchless runs left.
Yeah.
And then the Dominus collection came out and the run's length got chopped in half, which is pretty awesome. So I know Dragon Blitz is going to just do a great job with it.
Excellent runner.
Dragon Blitz is like one of those people that it's very hard for him to have a bad showcase of a game.
Yeah.
So
Part of me
I know
was
he'll do
slightly
well.
gunning for glitchless from Lonely, aka Brooke, just because the glitchless movement cooks so fucking hard. But
It does.
I also understand that the glitched run is cool, so it's like, you know.
A
Yeah,
run
no,
that
it's-
I would love to shout out as one that I really don't want people to sleep on when the event actually comes around is it's by Forest. It's called Dread Delusion.
Okay.
It's like a first person like RPG, Western RPG style, and
sick.
it's another. I mean, it's another like movement game basically.
Oh, okay.
It has like a
Sick.
kind of like what would I call this? A very like 2004 like PC graphics kind of style to it.
Oh.
But you're walking around with like this like spell book the entire time, like flying all over the map. Like it is just I've never heard this game or heard of this game. My only experience with it is the speedrun itself. But yeah,
kind
one
of
of
like
those.
an Elder Scrolls type of experience, sort of thing.
Yeah, it definitely it feels like it has like an Elder Scrolls vibe to it. I would say for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this run is extremely good.
I can't believe I forgot to mention Hungry Ghosts because
yeah, yeah,
Hungry
yeah.
Ghosts. So I heard about this game like a couple of years ago, and I went around to my various friends that run horror games, and I said, I don't know if you've heard of Hungry Ghosts, but I feel like it needs to be in the marathon. I feel like it's a cool game. I feel like somebody needs to submit it. It's not gonna be me. I'm too busy with other stuff. You know, like, but if you want to submit a horror game, I feel like this one is untapped, because at the time it didn't even have a leaderboard. Yeah. And the only one that took me up on it was Schmumbler.
Because who else would it be but Schmumbler?
It's true, yeah. So I remember at AGDQ 2025 holding Schmumbler's phone for him so that he could record a video to put the leaderboard up,
awesome.
just so he had something to submit.
That's funny. Wow.
So
isn't Hungry Ghosts kind of like a Kingsfield like sort of?
It's basically FromSoft does horror Kingsfield, yeah. So, well, I say FromSoft does this, but they were made Kingsfields. But I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's horror Kingsfield. It's Kingsfield in hell. So nice. It's pretty dope. There's a lot to that game that is not in the any percent run. And it's a very like complex game, but you just can beat it in like 15 minutes. So it's cool. I was very happy to see that. So it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be on couch for that along with Death Tropes. So
exciting!
Oh hell yeah! Oh, that's a good couch.
Cool. Oh W.
Yeah.
W.
Along with what?
Death Tropes.
Death Tropes. He's a Silent Hill runner.
Sick.
Yeah, he was the one who did Silent Hill 1 at the most recent.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. Also, going back to kind of the Castlevania stuff, I want to shout out Bobby for finally getting Maria Rondo of Blood in.
That run is so good.
That run is so good.
I don't know if people watched his run of this at Back to Black, but it was maybe my favorite run of that marathon. And I really strongly feel that like Bobby is, I really just one of the best doing it right now. Yeah. Like an unbelievable gamer and entertainer.
Cold take, by the way. Ice cold take.
just ice cold take. Ice cold take. Truly, I feel like one of the best like runners out there right now. I love Bobby so much.
And
it's
so kind of interesting too, because he's kind of treating this as his like swan song like retirement run from like mainline GDQ.
Wait, is he?
And I think a little bit, like based on what I like the way he was kind of phrasing it, and maybe I'm wrong, but
I got that vibe too.
Yeah, he said that he said that might be it for him, like just doing a 10th run and then he's gonna be just done. So he might be done.
To his character, because I don't think it's for like, I think part of it's burnout and kind of being in a weird spot with speedrunning, but like he's also like the type where it seems like he's trying to make room for other people in the space, which I think is super commendable as well. Because I talked about this before, maybe not on the podcast.
What do you mean by that?
Like, well, I think he wants to make sure that other people have room to grow and get visibility. Yeah. Right. Because like, he submits a lot and he has a pretty good shot of getting in because he's Bobby, right? And so and something I feel as well is like the speedrun community has always kind of been struggling with and kind of needs to work on is growing their talent. And this is something I've been happy to see, when we're talking about seeing new faces, new runners, is especially in the old days, it was the same faces, the same games, getting in it. And this is coming from someone who has not missed like a mainline GDQ in some way since AGDQ 23, right? So I'm like, this is like coming from someone who benefits from, people wanting to take the same runners over and over again, right? And it's like, so I feel like in some way, what I'm trying to say is like Bobby is trying to, in his own way, make room for that next generation. Which I think is super commendable. I'm not that,
Jack's like, I ain't doing that shit. I'm going to keep submitting.
I mean, I feel like Jaxler, Jaxler, I feel like you're like a big part of like the next generation. I don't know.
I suppose.
I don't feel like you've been around for, I mean, I guess you've been around for a while, but still it doesn't feel like you've been around for that long.
Than you have for what
right. Flex. You just cut your ass for no reason.
As of this month, it's been a decade. So yeah.
No, it's definitely very important. Like, I mean, especially from an organization perspective, we want to find like our runners of the future, Yeah. So that's an active goal for us.
Because what ends up happening is like if you keep tapping in from the same runners over and over, they're gonna get burned out, and then who's left after they decide that they've had?
Well, and then people are gonna say, "What's the point of submitting if we just take the same people every time?"
Exactly.
Right? So
Yep.
And also, I would imagine it like increases pressure for like the runners that like get picked all the time to keep picking up new games, and like maybe they like don't want to pick up games at that rate,
Like that's
Yeah.
something I kind of deal with a little bit. You know, that's, you know, and we'll talk about Seafrog a little bit maybe towards the end when we talk about new games. But like, you know, I feel like I'm constantly learning new stuff because I mean, part of it is I just like doing GDQ runs. Like it's just
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
it's
people are like,
fun.
why do people obsess over this? Why does it matter? There's nothing quite
It's fun.
like it.
It's a
It's
yeah. I mean,
really
I
fun.
feel it's truly like it's a performance art at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, we as runners have like actual tangible impacts on the world. You know, when Adef and Kronos and Nervi and I did the Halo 3 run at S24, we raised like close to $70,000 during that run, like in an hour for an organization like
Crazy.
Doctors Without Borders. And I remember, I mean, that run, aside from, in my opinion, being like the single best speed run I will ever do in any context, it had like a lasting impact on me on how I view like marathon submissions and how I view speedrunning at a marathon in general. You know, you have like an actual like huge opportunity to do something like meaningful and make a difference.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool, and it's like a fun. It's there's really nothing else like it, you know. Especially when it comes to like the Call of Duty 4 run that I did. My
Yeah.
God, one of my favorite memories from last year was that fucking grind I was on before AGDQ 25. I streamed that game like every day for like 3 months,
Yeah.
just like trying to get ready for it. Like it's I take it really seriously, and it's a huge privilege, and it's a blast. It's
There's so
awesome.
much work that goes into it,
Yes.
which I don't think a lot of people get. It's just like, especially if you're someone like, you know, like Bobby, for example, who has like a bunch of different games he can pull out of his pocket. Like the amount of work that you have to put in, not only to be able to, you know, achieve a time that, you know, is, you know, kind of good enough for like the GDQ standard, but also to be able to pull it out of your pocket off rip and
Right.
have that. It's the confidence too that you have to work on, and you can't just like, that takes time to build that confidence, right? So
takes a lot of time.
Absolutely.
I think another thing too about like just like GDQ runs in general is that like it's kind of like another goal for yourself in whatever game you're running or whatever you want to do. That's like outside of just like number go
It's
up,
hugely
or
motivating.
number go down, rank go up. You know what I mean? Like you're not really
Yes.
gunning for a record anymore per
because
se.
at some
You're
point,
like,
who cares? Yeah.
well, I
Yeah.
care, but you're not
right.
gunning for a record, but you're also like practicing for this thing, which oftentimes can actually make you better at the game because whenever you're like grinding for like a marathon run, you're typically doing more like no resets or just more runs of like the full game in general, which can be good because a lot of times you can get stuck in the reset trap and just be like, all right,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know who on this podcast that starts with the letter J.
99% of speedrunners reset too much, so it's gonna be probably all
That's
y'all.
true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm the 1%,
Yeah.
so it's not me.
True.
We got 2 of the 1% here today.
To kind of pivot back to some more of the games I'm really excited
Pivot
for.
tipper.
This is when
P
I was
letters.
really. I'll talk. Well, if we can talk about that right now. P letters
You
got
don't,
in.
he doesn't want
Pseudo-
to talk about P letters. That's crazy.
Well, no, I did. I
Aren't you
have
on
like
the
an
couch for that?
alphabetical. I am on the couch for it, actually. So
You gotta bring it
I'm
up.
going alphabetically. Okay, I don't want to miss anything.
Bro
But
knows how to
so
say the
Pseudoregalia
alphabet.
got
That's
in.
crazy.
P letters.
letters.
Pseudoregalia 100% got in. So we managed
Dope
to get current world record holder Wilbun out to their first GDQ. And Wilbun is really fucking good at Hundo. If you haven't seen a 100% run for some reason,
It is the best run in that game. It's not close.
it's not even close.
Nice.
And so I'm you know, for me it's like also personally gratifying because I, you know, and this is something I've been trying to do, you know, as I've been getting more and more into the like speedrunning space and, you know, getting older, is like trying to mentor people as they like to submit to events like this. So like Wilbun and, you know, by extension Killing Pepsi, who also submitted, were like kind of 2 of those people that I was like trying to mentor a bit. Cause like, you know, Wilbun like created Damon was like, hey, let's like all get together and do like a hundo submission or something. And I'm like, actually, you 2 should just do it because like, I think, well, no, not even like that. I couldn't play at that level. I'm just like, I think it is best for the game. Like, and for the people, if y'all do the run, cause y'all are really fucking good. And then I do like commentary of some kind. Cause like that will get I just think that will do the best for the game and get more people excited about it. I mean, just look at the PAX West run. You know, I didn't do that run, but it was like one of the more like well-received runs of that event. And, you know, trying to like, I don't know. I just like mentoring people. I like seeing people that like it's very humbling to have people reach out to me like, hey, can you help me with this? Right. You know, and there were a couple of instances of that happening this event, and several of them getting in. And to me, it's almost like I got in a way, you know, and that's like, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to make it less about me. And I think that.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But
I'm picking it up.
Yeah, but God, that's gonna be such a good fucking run too. Sorry.
I mean, when Dan last SGDQ said he was probably gonna go. Well, yeah, when he said he was gonna dirge, when he said he was actually gonna be able to make the event, I stopped grinding dirge and I was like, "You're submitting this game for SGDQ."
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, I think I can go." And I was like, "You're way better than me. I don't feel like getting that good at this game right now because I want to focus on." I was like, "You're already that good. Like you're already that good. I will just do comms. You know, like who knows when you'll be able to go again."
Movie. Yeah.
I was like, "Who knows when you'll be able to go again? Just submit it, dude.
Do it."
And like we were sitting down for lunch at one of the places in Minneapolis, and he was like, "I'm really glad you pushed me to submit."
Oh, cool.
And I was like, "Hell yeah, hell yeah."
That's kind of how I felt about the SpongeBob movie run at this most recent GDQ, which, by the way, go watch that VOD if you haven't. That is maybe one of the best GDQ runs I've ever been a part of.
It was really good. Also, like, I mean, I went and talked to Bubble Base after this. It raised like a fuck ton of money too.
It raised a fuck ton of money, and it did like 70K on YouTube. Like,
yeah, it was
that's
like
wild.
It was a blast. Like everybody I talked to loved that run. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
No bias whatsoever because I was on couch for that.
None, of course. No,
like,
you would never know.
Everyone did step up for that run though, so I'm not gonna take full credit for that because fucking Chatterteeth on commentary also did fucking amazing. I mean, Bubble Bass did an amazing job on the run. Like, would have been like a 104, which is like fucked up. That would have been like 40 seconds of PB for him, which is
damn.
If he didn't take the death going for a swag strat, you know, but.
Right.
Anyway, I totally derailed anything. Everything.
You're fine.
So
I can rattle out some other runs I'm stoked about right now if you want.
Go for it.
I mean, the Halo fan in me. Oh my god! Like the fact that we have both Halo 4 and dude, this Halo Reach 4-player co-op run is going to be awesome. I'm really glad to see like Nervy and Kronos pairing up again for this. That makes my heart happy. But Reach in particular just has a lot of. Like Halo runs are most all of them share like at least some similarities, like they have the same bones. Reach in particular is just like so different from other Halo games that man, I love like the fucking like the armor lock pressure launching and shit like that. Like there's just so much cool stuff. Halo co-op runs are truly like some of my favorite runs. And then Halo 4 is it the first time Halo 4 has ever been at a GDQ, and it's
is that
like
right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like ever?
Ever. We've never had Halo 4.
Wild.
So,
wow, okay, shit.
Very happy to get not only just a submission of Halo 4, but like a really fucking good legendary run. So, that's gonna be a blast. Always nice to see multiple Halos on a schedule. It in my opinion, I mean, it's just such like an important franchise, not just for gaming, but even like for speedrunning in general. It's so storied.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to see it get.
It's like one of the more ancient speedrunning communities too. Not
especially like Halo 2. Halo 2 goes like way back, way back. And yeah, speaking of old speedrun communities, Lemmy Quake.
Oh
Lemmy
yeah, Quake.
Lemmy Quake.
Oh my god, that run is going to be so fucking good.
Dude,
and I'm slightly biased because I've commentated for that run a couple of times at other events, but like Limey's just such a good performer. Like Limey, I just have so much respect for like for those who don't know, we had Limey on the podcast last time we did a games list kind of breakdown. Limey is like one of the unsung heroes of just like the speedrunning community as a whole. Like not just for like working with GDQ and doing a bunch of stuff for them behind the scenes, but like so many other small online speedrunning events or like the mid-sized ones. Like Limey's like fingerprints are somewhere in that event, and it's like it cannot be understated like how much Limey has been doing for the speedrunning community. So I'm just glad Limey is starting to get like props as like a solo runner, because like Limey's also just happens to be really good at that too for some reason. It's like not fucking fair. But yeah, Quake is gonna be really fucking good, and Limey's a really good Quake runner. So
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Speaking of friends, I wanted to shout out. Crash to Insanity finally got into a fucking GDQ. Oh my god. Joester has been trying to get that run in for years. It's gotten in on backup like once or twice. It's finally fucking happening. Like, oh my god. Crash to Insanity is like the black sheep of the Crash series, I feel like. It's like in this really, because it's like more of like a 3D platformer, like in the traditional sense, like more of a collectathon sort of thing. It is fucking busted. It's so fucking funny too. The game is just so fucking weird and bizarre, and
you got Hundo in as well, so it's just like,
which is like
Hundo.
objectively the best way to watch the game too, because like the any percent run is like super short, kind of shit. Well, not kind of shit, but like it's super short. And if you die on the final level, it crashes the game. So it's
That's
like
good.
It's also it's also just super unsafe too. So it's like,
But yeah, Crash, a great example of another game that we've never had before.
Yeah.
So,
Crash.
yeah.
Twinsanity specifically. We've had a lot of Crash.
That's right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Crash to Insanity. Yep.
But that's going to be a great time. Yeah, Cosmic, did you have any more that you wanted to plug,
so let me see here.
I'm just kind of bouncing around the three of us. So
I was honestly going to go for more of the horror block. I was going to go for more of the horror block stuff. So like, RE7, RE1, RHD, and Siren.
Oh my god,
those big
don't
ones.
even remind. Siren is going to be so good.
Siren, I think this is the first time Siren has ever been in a GDQ.
Yes.
And this game it's weird, but it's cool. And
it's really hard.
It is hard. I was playing it casually the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with a lot of survival horror runs, like I fuck with a lot of the survival horror speedrunning community, but it's like some of them are just kind of like
good people.
Play the game efficiently and fast, which is impressive on its own. But like Siren's really fucking hard, Yeah. Like, I'm glad we had like that as well as RE7.
Yeah, all those other survival horror games, they're fucking easy. They're super easy. Siren's actually the hard one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the thing was, suck my fucking dick. No, but it's like whenever you have like really, really hard runs like that, I always get super excited because it just adds that extra little bit of, spice to it. Siren, if you haven't seen Siren before, kind of like the gimmick of the game is that like there are enemies hunting you down and you can like swap the viewpoint to the enemy that's chasing you down. So you can like use that as like a way to figure out how to escape or deal with them. If you
need a recent frame of reference that maybe only 3 people on the planet played, myself included, was like Slitterhead, because it was by the same director. But that is an action game as opposed to Siren, which is a horror game.
You possess people and then beat the shit out of other people.
With people,
With people. Yeah, that's great.
With people, yeah. And all your weapons are blood. It's great.
Yeah, sorry.
I said I was going to say all your weapons in Slitterhead are blood. But yeah, Casual Speedrun is also doing Siren, and that's going to be dope because Casual Speedrun, they're also in like, I saw them around the Slitterhead Discord as well. I was going to run that game, but it's 4 hours. So that's a long one.
My personal favorite thing about Casual Speedrun is that in every single one of their submissions, they are always dressed up for whatever game. Like there's awesome. their SOCOM run, they're in full like camo, and for Siren they're like there's blood dripping out of their eyes. Like I'm excited to see
so dope.
if they're gonna like pull something off for the actual run. Cool. Like it's cool. Yeah.
That's so sick. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, because like Casual Speedrun is also kind of like, I would say in like if we're talking about commentary styles, like in like the Blood Thunder skill tree is the way I'd put it, just with like the very like chill, calm delivery, and just like kind of the vibe,
the Blood Thunder skill tree.
And I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
and it's like it's good to have more of that, because for a while it felt like it was really just Blood Thunder that was kind of pushing that direction. I'm sure there are other runners who are really good at that style too, but it's like I'm glad Casual Speedrun is finally getting the chance to do it because another first time runner. So.
With the RE run specifically, or the Resident Evil run specifically, it's very cool to see like this, return of, I guess, the old gods of RE speedrunning in terms of the games themselves, because obviously Zeke is more of like a newer face to RE7, relatively speaking. But the RE7 and RE1R, those are like the old gods of that scene by this point. And now that there's not like a new RE game kind of getting churned out every year, that sort of well has dried up, and now we kind of get to see how these runs that were, I think the last time that RE1R was in was like 7 years ago.
Long time.
Something like that.
Really
yeah.
Damn.
And it was by Pessimism as well back then. So we really get to see just years and years of little optimizations, or in the case of RE7, big optimizations, big tech changes to the route. And we get to see, you know, I guess what these games look like now after so many years of absence. And RE7, I mean, I think that speedrun is mostly just watching the same hour-and-a-half movie all the time. But it is a very, very good run with a lot of like storied history behind it.
It's a good hour-and-a-half movie.
It's a good hour-and-a-half movie, you know.
And the other thing is, Madhouse is so much more interesting to watch.
That's the thing, yeah. Is that it's going to be Madhouse.
Sick. That's the thing.
If it was like easy again, I'd be like, all right, well, whatever. You know. But since it's going to be Madhouse, the last time that was shown was like the year that it launched. So like I guess 8 years ago at this point. So it's gonna be tight. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I had thought at this point that like the spin-offs would take over. I probably should have foreseen the heralding of like the old gods returning, but I was wrong. So that is what
Incorrect.
it is. Incorrect.
It's been nice to see like I usually get pretty emotionally invested in like the horror stuff that we take, because I love horror runs. One of my favorite like subcommittees to be a part of is the horror stuff, and it's like I'm always glad to see when the horror people are happy. Like when people are talking good at that, and then like I'm eating good. I remember a story that I love to tell, and I don't know if I've ever actually told Maxie this story, but so I got hired on to Games Committee in early 2020, and the first event that I worked was SGDQ 2020, and we had a submission. And so one of the first things I wanted to do when I got hired on was I was like, I gotta get more horror runs onto the marathon. Like I want to be like a representation for like the horror community, you know. And so we had this submission from Dreyx, which was I forget the exact category, but it was effectively 3 hours of Alien Isolation. It was like a glitchless, like 100% category or something like that. And I think that run is fucking awesome. And I like petitioned for it, and I like argued for it, like it was like my ride or die. And so when the games list came out, but like I was back at that time, I was very invested in what anybody had to say about the games list, because like I was working on it for the first time. And I remember I was once again sitting in Maxie's stream watching him go over the games list, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, like the horror runners, like they're going to be so happy I did such a good job. And so then obviously Alien Isolation is at the top of the list because it begins with an A. And so he mouses over Alien Isolation and he goes, why the fuck do we need 3 hours of Alien Isolation? And I remember I went, I was like a gut punch, unbelievably sad. And that was my first lesson where I was like, dude, you will never make everybody happy with this shit.
It's true. Absolutely.
Impossible.
Wait, do you mind if I ask about that? Because like I'm only somebody who watches GDQ. Like I don't know anything about like how the event is exactly structured. And you've already kind of talked about it before, is like, you know, you have 2,500 people submitting games, or at least that's how many games are submitted. Right. And then you have all these separate committees that sort of like filter them all by genre. And then so like when you're looking at a game, like what exactly are you like looking for? And then when you see something that you like, what is like the process to getting it into the event, or like what's all the gears working there?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about, like, so I want to be very clear, like what I'm saying. This is my experience personally. Like, I don't speak for GDQ. I don't speak for the rest of Games Committee.
Speaks for the whole Games Committee. He is actually the whole Games Committee. He runs the whole operation. Any grievances?
I always have to remind people, especially when they come up to me with like questions or feedback or whatever. I'm like, there's 11 of us, dude. There's 11 of us. Anyway, yeah, like usually when I'm reviewing something, I am trying to look at it from like an outside viewer. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking for like, does this game have stuff that I personally find interesting, that I think other people will find interesting, that I think like will benefit our event? Like, does this game make our event better by including it in or anything like that? Like, what's the runner's energy like? What's their commentary like? You know, does the for me, like a thing that does the game like pass the eye test, and that like it looks like it looks difficult or it looks interesting, or like it looks like the runner is good at it or something like that. You know, these are all like various criteria that I personally will like weigh. When it comes to like how you present that to the rest of committee, you know, it's we call it I forget if this is like, this was a term before I got on committee. I'm not sure if this is like a normal term, but we'll like stump for certain things. We call it stumping for it. Like, do you have any stumps basically? Okay. So yeah, I mean, like the meetings are very like round table. What does that mean? Basically, it's just like you're gonna basically like stand up and argue for it. You're gonna like kind of like when I went and called out like when I was describing to y'all why like Halo Reach is a cool run. You know what I mean? Like that's something I would do to like the rest of committee if I was like, oh, this run's really cool,
so
because
like kind of like,
you know
like an
I mean?
Elevator pitch almost like for the game.
Basically.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah. That's a very, I would say that's a very like brief description of kind of like what I'm looking for and how I would go about like presenting it to others. Like I'll argue for its merits and why I think it's good, or you know, I'll point out to like, oh, if you skip to like 20 minutes into the video, like the guy does like an out of bounds glitch that's really cool or something like that, you know. So yeah, that's generally speaking like how the process would work in very general terms on my end.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And also, by the way, I just want to say as well, if y'all ever have, just in a general sense, I love talking about my work and the stuff that we do. It's kind of been like a goal of mine, I feel like, for the last 5 years, to make it the process less of like a black box.
Yeah.
So especially to anybody that's listening to this or whatever, like I'm always happy to talk shop about this stuff. I think the work is really cool.
I guess if I can like pick your brain real quick about a really like in kind of the weeds detail, because you were kind of talking about like the different subcommittees and by genre. What happens when you have like for example, something I saw on the schedule that kind of comes to mind is Control, which again, very excited for that run, by the way. But which is going to be great. But like Control's in like a weird spot where it's kind of like, you know, third person shooter, but it's also kind of got these like horror aspects to it. So how does committee handle it when a game kind of hits multiple different like genres or like?
I think generally speaking, yeah, there are definitely games that have multiple genres. Fortunately, we have like a lot of subcategories and subcommittees. Okay. Like Control gets sorted into 3D action. Basically, we have like a
Makes sense.
Yeah. We have a few subcommittees that are just like kind of like catch-alls for stuff that we're not really sure where else to put it. Yeah, and also like we'll have like entire meetings where we're just like sorting the games basically, gotcha. And we'll have other people to like ask if like, hey, where does this game go or something like that. Also, speaking of the Control run, I'm really glad you shouted it out. I don't want this. Yeah, I don't want
PAX West. That was crazy.
Yeah, I don't want this this podcast to end before we talk about Control. Yeah, so Ashley OBTW is literally Ashley 93 OBTW is basically
what
like
a name.
The fucking green squeegee of Control.
Green.
Yeah, that's how I would. Yeah, literally. Just it's been really cool watching this game evolve as well, because back when I ran it at A20, it was like a glitch game basically. Yeah. You got out of bounds a lot. You basically just try to get out of bounds and go to the end level trigger. Now it's like full on a movement game. The run has evolved and in so many wild ways. They figured out how to basically do almost kind of like a wave dash.
Sick.
With the dash. Yeah, generally. So there's a dash mechanic, and then after you dash, generally speaking, it completely halts all your momentum, and then you like move again. People figured out how to prevent that loss of movement speed. Okay. So they're able to dash and and then preserve that over multiple times through like kind of like this weird like wave dash bunny hopping sort of movement. Anyway, it's really cool. Wow. I love how much the run has evolved and how far Ashley in particular has just been pushing this.
Yeah.
For a really long time.
Fucked up at that game.
Fucked up at that game is a great way to describe that. Yeah.
This is also the first time that Shieldy is going to be in a marathon too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. The other thing about Control is we got the best fucking strat names in that game.
It's true.
Yeah. Shieldy
sort of
McSorry.
Like how,
or like Air Canada is what we would call it.
Air Canada's crazy.
Air Canada, Jesus.
Speaking of things in the air, though, I just want to shout out everyone's favorite run that's in. 120-star Mario 64 is in. And Beeves running it, and we're going to see Carpeless, which is why I'm shouting out, because Carpeless is fucking sick, and I can't. It's just so bad.
And here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm so glad it's Beeve doing it and like not anyone else, because he's like actually entertaining. And like that's the big thing.
About?
I feel like a lot of Mario writers are kind of like just kind of a little
just
slow.
at Liam and move on. The other ones are entertaining. Okay? Come on, man.
Holy crap.
Can't
Oh
just
my
say
God.
that.
I'm sorry.
Bro doesn't
I'm
know song.
profiling. I know. I understand. Brian,
Racial
save me
profiling.
from Brian, save me from this hole I'm digging for myself. Save me, Brian, please.
So I was just gonna say, I think this is the first time we've had just like
wow.
vanilla SM64 in a very long time.
Yeah.
It's true.
Um,
I think that's true.
and that
That's
is
true,
why
yeah.
I am excited for it. Yeah, and I'm
too.
also and I love that Beav is running it. And I think I love the storyline that this is the first post carpetless SM64 showcase.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. So yeah, very stoked for that run.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you shouted it out.
I'm just excited for a non like mod randomizer whatever Mario run because like
Yeah.
personally I don't
Right.
really fuck with Mario 64 outside of like the actual like runs. Specifically, the only one I really watch is 120. So like that's
Right.
why I'm like super like hype about it. Like you could find me in Cali's streams almost every day. You know?
yeah.
I'm just living in that dude's stream. But does anyone have any
yeah.
quick last shout outs before we wrap up?
Oh my god.
Any quick
for it.
hitters?
My boy Mike Wave with Avowed.
True.
Yeah.
Mike Wave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just gotta say, Mike Wave, when he actually gets to when he gets into a game that he likes, that dude is a machine.
Dude, what
Like,
the hell is up
like,
with that, by the way?
Have
Like,
you
what the fuck?
have you noticed how many like highly competitive games he has been the power submitter for? Like RE4OG, RE3R, Avowed, the entire Mass Effect series. Like whenever he gets to a game that he just is like, you know what, I just want to run this. He's just a monster, and it's just like
People like that
God
piss me
damn,
off,
bro.
dude.
You could
Like-
call him the
like, yeah,
microwave
pe-
of speedrunning.
People like people like Mike, people like Bladen that are just like naturally good at everything that
Yeah.
they pick up, and I'm just like, fuck you, man. Like, I have to work so goddamn hard to be that good, and like, fuck you. Yeah. Anyway, Mike's the goat.
I remember seeing Mike recently grinding like Mass Effect 3, and there was like one
What
time
the
where
fuck
he
was
like
up with that?
he moved like at a 46-degree angle instead of 45-degree angle, and like halfway through the split he goes, I'm gonna lose like a second, and then he loses exactly a second, and I was like, fuck you, Mike Wade.
The worst part too is he's like the nicest guy.
He is the nicest
He's not
dude.
an asshole, and that's what's the most
No.
annoying. Is it's like,
Yeah.
at least you can kind of cope a little bit most times, where it's like, oh, this guy's kind of a dick, you know? It's like, at least I have that over the, no, you don't even
The
have
sacrifice
that
to
over someone like
pay
Mike
for
Wade.
power.
Yeah, it's like fuck me, man. Like, god damn it.
Yeah, I love Mike. Mike's awesome.
I'll just run through some final things, by the way,
Yeah, go
that
for it.
I'm stoked for. I'm just going to literally rapid fire this down the list. AEW Fight Forever is going to be interesting. I think they're going to do like actual live
Yeah, that's so random.
wrestling commentary for that.
That's funny.
Punchy is doing an online run called like Aoni or whatever,
Aoni,
and he's,
yeah.
he's literally playing the game at 15 times speed. It's
Oh.
I did see that.
ridiculous.
yeah.
Belatro 7-deck random seed skips is going to be fucking dope. Let's see. Celeste All Hearts Race. I'm really stoked for that. I'm scrolling down the list here. Helix is doing a game called Emergency Call Ambulance or Ambivalent or whatever that's going to be a great setting block game.
That's really funny.
Finding Frankie is a really cool indie horror movement game. Hello Kitty Roller Rescue.
Yes!
My
Sorry,
God.
I'm slightly biased on that one because like Sega Star is like officially part of like the Chibi Robo crew.
Hell
So
yeah.
he finally gets his flowers, and I'm really excited for that.
Marvel Spider-Man 2, all collectibles, all bosses relay, I think is going to be really fun. I think that's a great way to show off that game that's not like 3.5 hours or something. Metal Gear Solid 3 with the upgrade to invisible enemies and boss fights. What the fuck? Really good Metroid, this event. Zero Mission Race, and then the low percent ice race. Neon White 4-player race. Cannot fucking wait.
forgot about that
Cannot
one.
fucking
Yeah.
wait for that.
So dope.
Yeah,
Dude,
Neon
Satan,
White
I can't.
with 4 players from around the fucking globe.
Literally like the best four, like 4 of the best Neon
Yeah.
White players currently, which is really cool. I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Satan herself, Plants vs Zombies. Plants vs Zombies is in the fucking marathon.
Fire.
That's really exciting.
Hell yeah.
I'm getting to the Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Roller
I was
Coaster
like, what the
Tycoon,
hell?
Spelunky Series Triathlon from Hectique is going to be dope. Still Wakes the Deep might be the horror run that I'm most excited for. I think that run is hella gas. The Maker 2 Relay. I love the Maker 2 relays. I'm a Mario hater till I die, but the Maker 2 relays are some of my favorite things to watch at GDQ. Tetris 99, we're gonna have like the crowd playing along with Richard, which I think that's gonna be sick.
So funny. And it's also Richard gets a run, which
Richard gets a run. What's not to love?
Yeah, similar to Limey, Richard is like one of the unsung heroes of like the speedrunning scene as well. Does a shitload for hotfix and behind the scenes. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's my go.
And then Mr. Shasta, Phantom Hourglass.
That was the other big one. Yeah, they finally. It's like the one Zelda game they haven't ever taken before, and they took it. So
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, they'll probably never take Spirit Tracks, but you know.
It'd be like that.
Don't mention that one.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I was gonna
Rip to the
I was gonna say
fans.
I was gonna say BioShock 1 also returning with Gulch
By not
2.
Blood Thunder, by the way.
By not Blood Thunder.
Crazy
Yeah.
coincidence. I'm sure he'll be on that couch, but like,
Oh, no doubt.
Will,
be
yeah.
there.
But yeah,
I think,
Gulch,
I think
that's
he's
a
just
great
gonna park himself, honestly, right there.
That's a great shout, by the way. BioShock 1 by Gulch is gonna be sick.
Yeah. And then what else did I have on here? Okami HD was another one
Yeah,
too.
I forgot
The New Game Plus
Can't
run
wait
for
for that.
that. Yeah, that runs tight. Yep. And then I think that was.
yeah,
I mean,
Dark-
obviously, like Bloodborne is gonna be dope, and Final Fantasy 9 CSR, because that was like the only way that Final Fantasy 9 was gonna come back with cutscene remover. So
Wanna
that
give a big plus one
lops
to
that game
Bloodborne.
down to a third. Yeah, Bloodborne's gonna be tight. We're gonna be able to see all 24 frames of that game per second in just very, very, very fast.
Another small thing I want to shout out too is it's a little game called Casual Birder. It's played on this handheld system that's actually made here in Portland, which is cool, called the Playdate, which is a little like
okay.
Oh,
yeah, and
sweet.
it's like a
the
little
little handheld,
Game Boy-esque, and then you have the crank that like powers it, but also has like an in-game like function.
So they're going to be cranking it on stage?
They're going to be cranking it. Yeah, at this point we've had pegging on
crazy,
stage.
bro.
We've had pegging on stage. We've had
Holy
CBT on
moly.
stage. Now we're gonna have somebody
You had-
cranking it on stage.
W.
You also
So-
had sex like
Baller.
what is it? Tomato Anus had sex like 5 times on stage. So.
Yeah. We had all sleeping partners. Yes, it's great. Or sorry, all romances. My bad.
All romances, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and right above Casual Birder, Starwind continues his trend of not getting in with horror games, despite being primarily a horror games runner.
Yes.
With Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth. So
Oh, baby.
that's gonna be funny. I'm gonna be able to give him shit about that again in person. It's gonna be awesome. So
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's it from me, though, I
quickly run
think.
through a couple more of mine. MacBat 64 by
Yes.
Caspi. Another one of those runners that I actually mentored a little bit. Caspi
cool.
was asking me a lot about how.
Hell yeah.
This is their first time submitting to like a GDQ event, so
Right.
I was very much like
Lovely.
Mario Kart Super Circuit, which is a really cool underrated Mario Kart pick, and also
One
a
of the
good friend
games-
mine, Johan.
One of the games of my childhood. I love Super Circuit. Yes.
Super fucking underrated. I want to give a couple shout outs to some more funny things on backup. Mushroom Men the Spore Wars, holy fucking shit. Mushroom Men Recognition.
Oh, it's on backup. Diabolical.
I know, that's what I was saying.
game
I was
is
like,
gas,
come on! But I'm glad for Terex, because like Terex was like kind of a little down in the dumps about that game not getting any recognition, so proud of him. Cavern of Dreams on backup as well. That game is like really fucking hard. It's a 3D collectathon Banjo-Kazooie type. Really fucking hard movement.
okay.
Also, Wii Music is in on backup. That is so fucking funny.
That is so crazy.
that's dope.
Oh my god.
That'd be cool if that gets in.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
So-
obviously, the second submission window is a thing that, at the time of recording, is still live. So I'm working on a game called Sea Frog for that. It's a 2D skateboardvania. So crossing
yeah.
my fingers for that.
Skateboardvania.
Skateboardvania.
He said all those
yeah.
words. This is true.
We making
I did-
skateboard vanias now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. They're just putting words and sentences together. Brian, do you have anything that you're looking forward to on second submission? Kind of just real quick.
There's definitely stuff I'm hoping that we get. Right, like Expedition 33. I'm not really like I that kind of came out of nowhere. I'm looking forward to that. I think Split Fiction is like 3.5 hours long or something.
Yeah.
So I would like us to. I hope we get something with Split Fiction. I don't know. Sea Frog. I'm looking forward to. Blueprints. By the way, Blueprints is like it's like less than 5 minutes long right now or something. I'm sure we're gonna get Oblivion remastered. So that should be cool.
Probably.
I think those are all the things off the top of my head, but yeah, it's like a pretty stacked Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
potentially. I have not looked at the submissions yet, but it's potentially a pretty stacked second submission. Or sorry, we're calling it new game submission period. now.
Right.
Submission, yeah.
That's the official
They
rename.
gentrified my second game submissions. Unbelievable.
I mean, to be fair, it kind of makes more sense
Right.
other than just second
does
game
kinda make more
submissions, 'cause
sense,
That's what
yeah.
it is. It's for
Yeah.
new games. So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's for new games.
But we're
Yeah,
going to go
absolutely.
ahead and wrap the podcast there because someone has to leave forever. But
Couple
Brian,
of
do
us.
you have anything you would like to shout out before we
Yeah,
get
where
out
can
of
people
here?
find you?
Oh my God.
Hashtag ad.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I'm Bryonato everywhere. Bryonato. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can come fucking watch my stream if you want. I'm just playing OG Oblivion every day right now. I will be on the
Fair enough.
I will at some point. I will be playing Titanfall again. I just need to get over this
Play
modded
first.
Oblivion.
You have it.
I need to get over. I need to like see this hyperfixation through, and then I can play Titanfall again. That's literally how it works for me. So yeah, I need to play it so much until I don't want to ever look at it again, and then I'll play Titanfall. But yeah, thank you all so much for having me. By the way, like,
Of course.
it was a blast.
Absolutely.
thank you
I
for
love
making
talking
time.
about the games list. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially we know how busy you are. So
Yeah, thank you
we're
for
so
making the
glad you
time.
made
Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks y'all. Thanks y'all for working with me to make this possible.
Yeah.
For sure.
We did it
Definitely.
against all odds.
We did.
And against all odds, you should like and subscribe and get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
please. Now go away.
Peace.
Yeah, we
Peace,
have your
gamers.
view. Just go.
Damn, okay.